Hey everyone, it's Dr. Chatter here with another episode about Faithfest. This one from the year 2017. But before I get started, let's do one more thing. You know it, you love it. The unofficial sponsor today is Larceny Bourbon. So everybody grab a glass. We're gonna do a quick shot with Dr. Chatter on Faithfest 2017. Now, as you may know, I filmed some there, I filmed some here. I tried to write an article, and even though I try to write an article, it doesn't necessarily get published. We'll see how it goes this year. I'll try to get my article out. I'm filming this, so there's a bit much on my plate. Plus, I've been working a lot more, as I've mentioned. I had to work most of the day the other day, so I only got to be there for about 2 hours, but here's the footage of what I witnessed. Now for the shot, enjoy. Oh. That one's got a bite. As you can tell, I did make it to Faithfest. It's a little bit bigger this year. And let's see if people take this poll. That's Faithfest for you. This is what's going on right now. I had to work, so I got here late. Be filming more. Alright, so apparently Faithfest is done. For anyone that wasn't here, they raffled a motorcycle and you missed out. So hopefully next year, not something else. But yep, that's Faithfest. 3 people did. 3 people did the survey. Sorry, I'm kind of angling off. I'm trying to look at the viewfinder. But yeah, that was Faithfest. Not too much. I was only here for a couple hours, so we'll see what's going on next year. Okay, so that was it. I mean, I was only there for like 2 hours. One of my friends stopped by. That was kind of cool. Got to talk to him for a bit, and then he ran out to go do other stuff. He wasn't going to stick around. They did, I think I mentioned this in the video, they raffled a bike, a Harley Davidson. Seriously guys, you should have come down. They won't let me into the event, so you guys should have all paid for these things, for these raffle tickets, so that you could have won the bike. And then you could have sold it and made quite a bit of money. I mean, I think from what they said, they were dollar raffle tickets for a Harley. Come on. Next year we'll get one. So yeah, I had about 3 people take this little questionnaire. I actually had 2 questionnaires there. I'll read off one of them. It was the controversial one and short answer, and I'll read off the other one, which was actually just a 6-question multiple choice. So let's start with the one that no one took. You guys can take this at home. I'll flash up the questions and everything like that. You can try answering these at home. If you want, post your responses in the comments down below. That would be awesome. I would love to read your comments. Might even feature them on the next show or an upcoming show. So, like usual, I got some demographic information from people and asked them for a little bit of information about themselves at the head of each one of these questionnaires. So both of them actually said, you may pass on or abstain on any question. You may quote, paraphrase, or cite any text. Same thing as last year. Then I asked for their age and sex, today's biblical date, which was the 4th of Elul, 5777. That's right, 5,777. Last year they did it on 9/11. This year, they did it on a different date. But that's what the biblical date is. Faith and denomination, of course, they could say Christian, they could say Methodist, they could say, Shiite, whatever. Of course, I didn't have any Muslims that took this test. I did see a group of them walk past, but also a group of ducks walked past, so I'm not going to begrudge either one for not taking a question or a sheet of questions about Christianity and not doing it. They probably wouldn't know as much. So last year I asked if they were local or not, and where they were from. This time I just asked them for their hometown and state. So I guess in a way I didn't really ask if they were actually from outside the country, and there could have been. I don't know. Like I said, only 3 people took the other questionnaire, not this one. Then I asked their Bible of choice again. Have they read it entirely? Yes, no, part or parts of it, and other with a little space there afterwards so they could say, oh, well, you know, this is how much I know of the Bible. I've only read these many chapters, or I've only read the New Testament, or whatever. And then I asked them one other question that wasn't on last year's, which was, did you take my poll last year? Yes, no, or other. Other being like, did you hear about this? Did you take it on YouTube? Etc. But for short answer questions, I had 12. And after them, I said, thanks for your participation. Have an awesome day. Yeah, still that cheesy little pun at the end. But let's get to the actual questions. 1. What is your opinion of Democrats/liberals? 2. What is your opinions of Republicans/conservatives? 3. What is your opinion of Antifa/the alt-left? 4. What is your opinion of white supremacists/the alt-right? 5. What is your opinion of fascism? 6. What is your opinion of communism? 7. What is your opinion of racism? 8. What is your opinion of slavery? 9. What is your opinion of the Confederate statues? 10. What is your opinion of slavery in the Bible? 11. What is your opinion of the Confederate flag? And 12. What is your opinion of a master-servant relationship? Now, as you can see, those questions were kind of loaded, and I understand when people didn't want to, answer any of these and everything, although the first guy that took my other questionnaire was one of the faith writers themselves, recognized me from last year, and willingly actually answered the other questionnaire. And then he looked at this other one and he's like, well, the only one I really have an opinion on is the Confederate statues. So I asked him his opinion, and he said, it's our history. I see them as being put in place to remind us of the mistakes we've made and not to do them again. Anyone that actually follows slavery has got to realize that Christianity is not the same thing now as it was then. And we need to stop telling people that they're good Christians if they do this stuff. And that's a bit of a paraphrase, but I can kind of see his point. On the other hand, I still beg to differ. I think they don't need to be in public places, like parks, where they are looked at as sort of a heroic monument, especially statues that say things like, sacrificing all for honor. That seems kind of counterintuitive to the fact that they wanted the states' rights to own slaves and treat people as cattle. That's human trafficking. That includes all sorts of other horrible, despicable crimes against humanity. And slavery. I don't agree with them being torn down like someone would do in ISIS, so I deplore what Antifa and the alt-left are doing. I would actually rather see them in museums. Remember, just like in World War II, museums are one of the safest bastions of the past that we have. Just look at all the countless numbers of artworks, statues, other relics, and even paintings that were actually kept around and kept safe by museums, especially in England, where they kept them safe from Nazi bombing raids. I mean, get the stuff in a museum. Museums are what are the caretakers of our history, our past, of the actual facts, which I think some people in the South who are actually saying that this stuff is a good thing, well, they haven't done enough research into actual history. They haven't paid attention to the actual gatekeepers, the people in the museums. For instance, people say, oh, well, what are you going to do? George Washington was never bad to his slaves. Actually, Mount Vernon is the executor of his estate. They know everything they know that there is to know about Washington and Mount Vernon. And yes, he did have slaves. And yes, he did stop them from escaping. Now, if they really liked him, they wouldn't have escaped. But they tried to escape multiple times. And he caught them. And he dragged them back. And he gave them harsh, severe punishments. Even when they fucked up. He wasn't a nice guy. He was nicer than some of the surrounding people, according to others. But he still did horrible things. And you have to realize that. And yes, we can judge them, because even people back then believed this was a horrible thing to do to other humans. If they didn't believe that, then people like the slaves would not have tried running away. They believed it was wrong. They left. Frederick Douglass believed it was wrong. He left. Come on. People judged them then and found them to be lacking with their, oh, slavery is a moral thing. It's like a parent to a child. No, that is not the same fucking thing. I'm sorry, you have things drastically confused in your head if you're thinking that kind of ideology is kosher. It's not. Slavery is slavery. It's taking away human rights. It's treating them as cattle. But, I thanked him for his time, the guy at Faithfest. He's a nice guy. We can see eye to eye on a lot of different things. But he didn't convince me that Christianity is right. He didn't even convince me that his version of Christianity is right. I don't think he was trying to, though, and I wasn't trying to be convinced, nor was I trying to convince him that he was wrong. But now here are the 6 questions he did answer. Started out the same way, with the pass or abstain, quoting and paraphrasing line, even had the have an awesome day line at the bottom, had the information for the demographics so I could get that, and then these were the questions. 1. What is the original meaning of the word pagan? A. A modern town in Burma, Myanmar. B. Non-Christian. C. Country dweller. D. Other. 2. What is the original meaning of the word Gentile? A. Non-Jewish person. B. Tribe, nation, or race. C. Pacifist. D. Other. 3. What is the original meaning of the word Messiah? A. Anointed. B. Landlord. C. Chosen. D. Other. 4. What is the original meaning of the word rainbow? A. Arch. B. Promise. C. Archer's bow. D. Other. Number 5. What is the original meaning of the word jubilee? A. Jelly beans. B. Celebration. C. Ram's horn trumpet. Or D. Others. Now for the 6th question, I posed this as an extra credit question because, well, I was kind of being a little cheeky here on this one. 6. What is the original meaning of the word Adam? A-D-A-M. A. Red, ruddy, clay, or man. B. It's just a name. C. People aren't sure. D. Other. Well, like I said, I had 3 people take this. One didn't give me demographic information. The other 2 did. They were in their 50s. They were men and everything. And they were nice guys. But, let's see. The only person that got one right was from Rochester. And the one he got right was the word Messiah does mean anointed. Now other people said it meant savior. Well, that's not true. That's not what the word means at all. People thought words like jubilee meant canceled debt, or that pagan means doesn't believe in God. Yeah, but I have the actual answers here, so I'll read them off really quick. Number 1, typically Hebrews use the word goy for people, although sometimes mentioning the person comes from a kafar, which means village in Hebrew. It In ancient Israel, villagers were considered to be from the country. They did not live inside city walls, and therefore they were wilderness country dwellers. They were heathens, bumpkins, backwards country folk that were uneducated. Pagan itself is a reflection of this term. It means country dweller. It's a Latin word. And why did this term change? Well, they wanted to demonize people outside of cities that didn't believe in Jesus, and well, Jesus spent most of his time outside of cities. So they had to demonize the word and change the meaning of the word so that people didn't call Jesus a pagan, because they already wrote themselves into a corner translating the book. And they're like, oh, well, these pagan religions and pagan cities and pagan people, they all live out in the wilderness, but how are people going to know that? Well, let's just tell them pagan means that they're evil and all this other stuff. Well, don't they know Latin? Well, they're actually, Latin's evolved, the language has evolved. They don't really understand Latin anymore. So no, they don't know what pagan really means. It's kind of like how people change the context and meaning of a word, or even like the cross. It used to mean criminal, but they've changed the meaning to mean, oh no, it's salvation, it's redemption. It shows you're a Christian. Well, actually, it shows that you're following someone that was considered to be a criminal by the state that they lived in. Sorry, but it does. I mean, you can try to change the meaning all you want, but that doesn't mean that the old meaning went away. And when you change the meaning of something, aren't you kind of destroying it for both what the original meaning was and what the new meaning will be? It kind of seems silly. Okay, anyway, number 2. The Hebrew goyim, as I mentioned, was the term for people, and it means tribe, nation, or race. It was used to refer to all races, including the Hebrew tribes. They have called themselves goyim. I've already worked on this one before. You can watch my video on Gentile if you want. Now, the Greeks changed that word to ethnoi, kind of the basis of the word ethnic. And Latin, they made it gentilis, or gentile. All variations of these words really mean tribe, nation, or race of said individual. It has nothing to do with whether or not one's a Jew or not. Okay, so 3. The Hebrew Mashiach means anointed. That's where we get the term Messiah. And they have a whole list of other things that they say this is what the Messiah will be like. Interestingly enough, it refers to people who have been anointed with oil into a position of kingship or importance, such as King David. But prophets, priests, temples, utensils, unleavened bread, and even a non-Jewish king, Cyrus the Great, have all been recognized in the biblical text as a Messiah. So, Jesus is not the only Messiah. Not according to actual history. And now if you want to go to other people that claim to be the second coming, or the actual coming of the one that's going to be the chosen savior of the people, well, that's a whole other can of worms, and over a dozen other candidates. I mean, it gets ridiculous. And Jesus is just one person amongst all of them. Okay, so 4, the Hebrew kesheth is the ordinary word for the archer's bow. It's what they used in their version of the Bible, in the Old Testament. And hanging up one's bow, or kesheth, is a sign of ending hostility. So when God hung a bow in the sky as a promise, it was his promise he wasn't going to be hostile to anyone anymore. It means archer's bow. It's always mean archer's bow. Now, 5, the Hebrew yobel or yovel is the word that stands for the ram's horn trumpet. And of course, the Greeks confused this with the word Iebelos, or Iobelos, which is similar to the Jubilare, which means to shout with joy or celebrate. And that's where we get Jubilee from. And 6, well, that was my trick question. See, the origin of the word Adam is tricky because there was actually a guy named Adamu who was the second king on a list. I think this was before the Assyrians and Akkadian Empire. A list of kings that was found with his name on it from the kings who live in tents. All we know is his name was Adamu. There had been speculation that he might have had ruddy skin, red hair, or red clothes, or something similar to that. And a lot of the religions there say you were made from dust or clay or water or earth or the combination thereof. So that could also kind of confuse people as to the origins of this word. But interestingly enough, we don't know what it means. And also interestingly enough, the Hebrew word for red is Edom, E-D-O-M, which is interesting because according to biblical texts and scholars, they say Esau, Jacob's brother, was actually born with red skin or red complexion, and that his descendants became the Edomites in the south of what's now known as Israel. Hebrew is an abjad alphabet, meaning it has no vowels. So Adam would not have been spelled A-D-A-M or even A-D-A-M-U. It was spelled D-M. And that's how Edom is spelled. So do we know if it means a name or if it means a color or what does it mean? We don't actually really know. It's just that confusing. And seems to transcend not just the Hebrew culture, but other cultures as well. So I hope everyone learned something. It definitely was an interesting experience. And yeah, we probably didn't get a lot of people there because it was raining, and I didn't need suntan lotion this time, fortunately, but I did need an umbrella, and I didn't have my table either. Like I said, I worked most of the day. But maybe next year I'll get to do a better quiz, do a better questionnaire, and have more information for you. But until then, remember, I'm Dr. Chatter. Knowledge changes the world.